earlier today, I watched Tonka Joey's video, Reading Your Fandom Opinions. Title self-explanatory. And I couldn't help but notice that in the video, there were a lot of comments about breaking canon. Specifically, positive, encouraging comments. And that reminded me of an experience I had relatively recently. For most of my life, I was a canon stickler. When I was a kid, I had somehow convinced myself that canon divergence was disrespectful to the creators of the media. Even though I eventually outgrew that belief and stopped attacking canon divergence AUs, non-canon ships, etc., thank goodness, I still couldn't bring myself to write it because it felt sinful? It's hard to describe. Several months ago, I got into a fandom so small that the creator of the web series followed me back on Twitter. I'd say there were about 50 devoted fans and only about 5 of us posting fan art regularly. Unfortunately, while it was way easier to be noticed within the fandom, there were also far less people to notice me, so I often felt defeated when even a retweet from the creator would only bump me up from around 3 likes to around 30 likes. I ended up writing and illustrating a long-form fic for the series. It was my first time ever writing a long-form fic for an ongoing series, but I was bursting with ideas. Unfortunately, due to lack of engagement, my excitement faded over the months. Eventually, I was only continuing to write and illustrate for this project for completeness' sake. I was in the final stretch when a nightmare occurred. Even though my fic took place entirely within Season 2, Season 4 revealed that the additional lore I had come up with accidentally diverged from canon. In an instant, I absolutely despised the fic and felt like a horrible person for writing it. However, I still felt the need to finish it. So I threw the last few chapters together within a few days and then left that disgusting fic behind me. Only one person read it to the end, and I practically begged them to finish it just to ensure I hadn't put myself through that last stretch of agony for nothing. A few months later, that fic was still nagging at me, so I decided to try writing a sequel as a fix-it fic for the first one. I found a way to make my first fic technically canon compliant, and that put me at ease a little. But once that part was set, I didn't have much motivation to continue writing because I didn't have a single reader. And then disaster struck again. I was already having a mental breakdown for an unrelated reason when an ongoing ARG tied to the web series was solved by the community. And guess what it revealed? Not only was my first fic even less canon compliant than I thought, but my fix-it fic wasn't canon compliant either. That was the last straw. Nobody cared about my fanfiction, and it was so bad that I didn't want anyone to care, lest they waste hours of their lives. I deleted both fics, relinquishing my position as longest fic in the fandom in the process. My fic, excluding the sequel, was over 70,000 words, and the runner-up was about half as long and abandoned. I figured nobody would mind. I had 0 readers, after all. Or so I thought. A few days later, I checked Twitter and saw that I had received a DM. From the creator of the series! I hardly ever received a DM from anyone! And the content of the DM shook me even further. They asked why I had deleted my fanfiction. It turned out they had read the entire thing, but had been too busy to let me know. The creator of canon liked my canon divergence. I still struggle to wrap my head around that, as well as the fact that if the creator of the series liked my fanfic, then it must have not been awful after all. And that gets me wondering, what else do I think is awful that's actually not? I'm still thinking about that incident. It changed the way I see my fanfiction as a whole.